What a year 2023 was, right? My gosh. Well, my name's Hannah Caldwell, and I'm your local real estate agent. 2023 was one hell of a year for a lot of reasons, but the Eugene real estate market played a big role in that for me as well. Today I want to take you through, what the 2023 real estate market looked like as a kind of year in review, and we'll share some of the data for those of you that are analytical, which I am not, but I can do numbers when I want to, but we'll run through some of the data. But I think anecdotally, I am in the market day in, day out, looking at so many homes all the time, seeing what's happening to specific types and styles of homes that are sitting or not. And so I think that's equally as important as the data in a lot of cases. If you're thinking about moving to Eugene, please feel free to send me an email. All of my contact information is in the description box below, and I would love to help you find a home in Eugene. 2023 was a doozy. There's no doubt about that. Big part of that was interest rates. We all know that the Fed had to, what I feel like is make kind of rash decisions about slowing inflation. And so they raised the Fed rate, raised the Fed rate over and over and over again. And mortgage rates generally tend to track with that. So we all know, that there was a big buzz about the high interest rates. Looking at it year over year, the average interest rate in 2022 was 5.34%. Well, that's pretty high even in comparison to 2021 when the average interest rate was 2.96%, but those are days of long past. Well, in 2023, our average interest rate was 6.81%, and that seems really high. But we actually had the all-time high of 2023 was 7.79%, nearly 8% interest. That's the highest interest rate we have seen since the late 2000s. The change rate was drastic. We're talking 2.9 in 2021, 6.8 or even 7.7 in 2023. That's a drastic change in 2 years' time. To put it in a little bit of perspective, let's look at the buying power if, interest rates change. So we're talking about a $500,000 house, which could buy you, a pretty decent house in Eugene. That's somewhere around our average price point. Let's say you're putting 20% down, and we'll throw in some averages for taxes and insurance. So taxes at $6,000 a year and insurance at $1,500 a year. What would your monthly payment look like? What would your monthly payment look like at 5.34% interest rate? It would be $3,414, which to me seems so high already, but that would be in 2022 for a $500,000 house. What did that look like at the average interest rate in 2023? Well, at 6.81%, it would be $3,888 a month. So we've jumped $400 a month. Let's talk about worst case scenario. You purchased when rates were at 7.79%. You purchased a $500,000 house, 20% down. You're paying $4,221 a month. That is an $800 jump a month just because of the change in interest rates. So this had a huge impact on the market in 2023. I mean, we started out January, rates were starting to climb. We were starting to see them in the sixes, but things were still relatively active. We have really high buyer demand in Eugene. We always have. Honestly, I think we always will, because we just have a lack of inventory. We don't have a lot of new construction, and that's just the reality of our situation. So even in down markets, we're going to have demand. Sometimes it lessens, but it's still going to be there. We just have, it's a supply and demand, it's economics. It's just always going to be an issue for us. But with that being said, as we moved through the year and we hit October, that's when things really, hit the fan. We were raising rates. They were going up like crazy. We couldn't even imagine it. And then in October is when they hit that 7.79%. And I mean, always going into winter, real estate is seasonal, whether people want to believe it or not. People tell you sell your house whenever you want. Real estate is seasonal. The vast majority of transactions are happening in spring and summer. Less transactions in the fall, and then a pretty quiet winter. Of course, people have to buy and sell all the time for various reasons, but the people that are doing it out of, not need, but just more desire, those people are doing it in the spring and summer. Well, it really just died down this year because we had the interest rates and then we had the seasonality, And this winter, this 2023 winter has been wild in comparison to the last 2 to 3 years. But let's talk about the varying neighborhoods and what the data says about what happened year over year. So we're gonna start in North Gilham. So North Gilham neighborhood is in North Eugene. It generally feeds to Sheldon High School. It's, north of the Willamette River, and does have a lot of newer homes. The Nines, which was a brand new development in 2020, 2021, is in North Gilham. And then they do have a lot of construction that happened in the 2000s, but they do also have a lot of your typical Eugene 70s ranch homes as well. But because of that mix, they do have a really high median price point. But in 2022, their median house price was $605,000. In 2023, their median house price was $624. So people consider 2023 a down market, which it certainly was a slowing market. There's no question about it. But that's a $20,000 price increase in 1 year's time. With that being said, North Gilham, like I said, has like a unique market of newer, more updated homes in a higher price point. So that market was less affected by the shifts and tides of 2023. Days on market even only changed 1 day year over year, from 15 to 16. So really North Gilham was kind of untouched and fared pretty well. Similarly, Ferry Street Bridge, also north of the Willamette, but closer to downtown. You're thinking Oakway Center and Harlow Road and that area. And again, like that area does have some higher end, newer homes, I would say early 2000s, mixed in with that traditional 70s ranch style Eugene home. Their price point's a little bit lower for that purpose. There's more of those older homes, but they went from a median home price of $520,000 to a median home price of $525,000. So not a huge jump. Clearly had more of a, took a little more on the chest from the market of 2023. You can really see that in the days on market. So days on market in 2022 was 22 days. Days on market in 2023 was 31. It's a pretty significant increase, but prices still went up. So overall, like not the crisis of a market crash that everybody was speaking about. We have East Eugene. We usually would call it South Eugene. So it's your university neighborhood, your Amazon neighborhood, all of that, southeastern part of Eugene, which has a lot of the older, but like really like would have been in the 1920s and 30s, your highest end homes, but really beautiful, lots of character, but still large homes. And, they are again in that higher price range and fared pretty well through the changing market. The median home price in East Eugene was $550,000 and it grew to $582,000. So that's a pretty significant jump. We're talking about median home price. And they also didn't have a huge effect on, how much of list price it was selling. Things were selling in 2022 for over asking. So it was at 101% sale to list price, and that dropped to 100% in 2023. What is interesting is that days on market did increase pretty significantly. It went from 22 days on market to 33 days on market. And that's really interesting when the median home price doesn't correlate with that. Like they had a huge jump in median home price. And that just is attributed, I think, to that is a really desirable part of Eugene, and the aesthetic of those houses and the infrequency with which those houses become available, I think was a big factor in that. Another factor that, is a little bit rough to say, but in a down market like that, oftentimes the people who are selling are people that have to. And especially in that neighborhood, that is estates. So people that are selling homes of family members that have passed away, that is a neighborhood that has super longevity. I mean, we're talking people have been in that neighborhood for 50, 60, 70 years. And so we did see a lot of turnover in that neighborhood that we wouldn't usually see in 2023. And I think that was mostly due to things that were being sold through probate or estates. Then we have Southwest Eugene. That's my neck of the woods. And I was actually shocked by these numbers. Southwest Eugene is everything like kind of Chambers West. It includes everything that feeds to Churchill High School, a little bit of the like neighborhood that's on the west side of Friendly Street. And we do have some really nice neighborhoods deep in the Southwest Hills, which you kind of forget about because they are like a good distance up there and they're pretty isolated. And then down, when you come down and more into the valley, closer to Churchill High School, it's a lot of, I would say, 70s and 80s split level homes. They're still good sized, but you know, they're old and they're dated and like people don't update them. Even further down in the valley, you have like small 3-bed 1-bath ranch homes from the 70s and 80s. So I was shocked by these numbers when I saw them. Southwest Eugene fared really well in this changing market. The median home price went from $530,000 to $564,000. Go us! And days on market only increased by 1 day from 21 to 22, which I was like shocked. I was like, pfft. Because I don't know, like maybe some people think really highly of their neighborhood, so you know, it's all perception, right? Next market that I think is really interesting is West Eugene. So West Eugene is everything West 11th and North, but not crossing over to Beltline. So you're going up to 99, you have the Train Song neighborhood, you have everything surrounding Winco. And they are smaller, older homes, pretty small. A lot of them, you know, around 1,100, 1,200 square feet. And they've always been in that kind of entry-level price point. So in that like mid to high 300s. They're one of the only neighborhoods that had a decrease in median home price. So their median home price went from $390,000 to $368,000. That was a big drop, and it sucked. What's interesting is that their days on market actually improved. So it went from 23 days on market to 21 days on market. So that specific neighborhood has something really unique going on, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it is in that lower price point. It was a little bit more accessible during the change in the market, but at the same time, buyers knew what was happening. Buyers knew sellers would be have a little bit less power, and so the quality of homes made a big difference. And in that area, it shows in the median home price. Bethel Danabo is the neighborhood next to West Eugene, but even further west across Beltline. So everything on that outside. And there are some nice newer communities in that neighborhood, you know, built in the mid 2000s. And so they still have a lower end price point, a little bit higher than West Eugene, and they did increase. So their median home price went from $375,000 to $390,000. Their days on market though increased significantly. So they went from 19 days on market in 2022 to 31 days on market in 2023. That's like, this is what I'm saying about data, is that like, it doesn't always make the most sense. And that's why, you know, having somebody that like is in the trenches of the market all the time is so important. But I digress. We have 2 more neighborhoods to get through. Just River Road and Santa Clara. River Road is going to be just north of, you know, Chambers. It was when Chambers turns into River Road, really. It's an older neighborhood. It, you know, serves North Eugene High School, but so does Santa Clara. Santa Clara just goes past Beltline, and I guess you could call it Northwest Eugene. River Road is a little bit older, so their price point is a little bit lower than Santa Clara, but both of them had slight improvements in median home price. River Road went from $417,000 to $420,000. Santa Clara went from actually, Santa Clara was the one other neighborhood that had a decrease in median home price, but it was really not super significant. They went from $487,000 to $485,000. So with all of that being said, let me ramble on. Numbers can be deceiving. It does paint a picture. It paints a picture of what neighborhoods, and I'm not surprised by any of them, that fared well. North Gilham fared well, Ferry Street Bridge fared well, East Eugene fared well. I was a little bit surprised by Southwest Eugene, but none of that really surprises me. Those are what I would say are the most desirable neighborhoods in Eugene, as well as those that have homes in the higher price point. And homes in the higher price point are less affected by the change in interest rate because generally those people are in a higher income bracket. They are more financially secure. They're not first-time home buyers. They probably have equity from past homes that they're rolling over into their new home. So the interest rates aren't as big of a deterrent as they are in those lower price points where, you know, people have been saving for a down payment for years and they're struggling and they're first-time home buyers. So it was all telling. But what I would say is that these are, you know, annual median and average numbers. And it really was that Q4, a little bit of Q3 to Q4 of 2023 that just slammed on the brakes. And that we're still feeling that, and we're still kind of reeling from that. There are homes that I tour on a daily basis that I know 1 or 2 years ago would have sold in a week, 7 days on market maybe, and have now been sitting on market for 70 days, 100 days, 150 days. The thing is that it's all about the home, the neighborhood, the amenities, the updates. Like, those are the biggest things. Location is unchangeable. So we always know that those neighborhoods that are more desirable are going to fare better. North Gilham, Ferry Street Bridge, East Eugene, which is like South Hills, Eugene, and some of Southwest Eugene. Those are going to fare better than most of the other areas. But that's not to say that there aren't homes in West Eugene, in Bethel, Danabo, in River Road, and Santa Clara that are going on the market today and selling in 7 days on market. They have to be priced well, they have to be updated, they have to be maintained, and they have to have the things that people are looking for that make, you know, a home desirable. So like, they have to have a decent layout, they have to have decently sized rooms, an open kitchen, you know, a lot of natural light. These things are so important, and sometimes these things are easy to change. Sometimes they're not. But if you're thinking of selling or you're thinking of buying, these are the things that kind of need to get your wheels turning. There still is a lot of opportunity right now in terms of possibly, if you're a buyer, finding a good deal. Maybe the home doesn't check all your boxes, but there are things that are changeable that you can do yourself. And you can get that home at a discounted price so that you have the room to make those changes. I think let's get into, let me look in my crystal ball, which I don't have. I don't have a crystal ball, so you can't take this as concrete fact. But what do I think is gonna happen in 2024? So interest rates have been on a steady decline. There's no doubt about it. And that has already been evidenced in more buyers entering back into the market. More people reaching out saying, hey, you know, it's something I'm thinking about. That being said, they are not all purchasing yet. It's interesting. Market has now like shifted, right? Like, so when the market is down, that higher price point doesn't usually have as much of an issue. That lower price point really suffers because the interest rates price a lot of those first-time home buyers out of the market. Well, when interest rates drop, those first-time home buyers are jumping back in, but right now, because real estate is seasonal, we still have low listings, but those higher end buyers have slowed dramatically because they're not super concerned about the change in interest rates. They don't feel like they need to like jump on the wagon because rates are dropping. So what we're seeing now is those homes in those higher price points are the ones that are sitting, and the ones that are getting, you know, selling at higher discounts and that sort of thing. I think come Q2 in 2024, we are going to see when like more, you know, listings, like I said, seasonal. When we see more listings come on the market, we're going to see a bunch of buyers jump back in full throttle, heavily looking. I think that we will start to see multiple offer situations again, and it will be difficult for buyers. It will be great for sellers, but how many sellers also need to go buy something? Like, you still have to have a place to live. So it's a double-edged sword. I think that the market is probably going to get more competitive, which makes my job and my life a little bit more stressful, but I'm always ready to fight for my people. I've done it before and I'll do it again, but I think that that's where I see the market going. So 2023 was definitely a rough one. We are still very much in recovery mode. Us realtors, lots of people, you know, buyers and sellers, we're all just kind of still trying to figure out what all that meant and what it's gonna look like moving forward. And I think that if you have questions about that, now's the time to start talking to somebody, whether that somebody is me or someone else. But if you think that that might be you in 2024 or even 2025, I would start the conversation now because things are constantly changing so rapidly. Anyway, do you feel like I've rambled on long enough? Because I feel like I have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Data is some people's thing, it's not other people's thing, but I will see you in the next one. Talk to you later.